Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. There are tons of grass varieties to choose from. Today, we are going to look at a few high-performing southern varieties. Also, shrubs are the anchor for landscape beds, but there are so many kinds to choose from. Today, we're going to learn about Abelia. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Mr. Booker T. Lee. Booker's a UT Extension agent right here in Shelby County, and Joellen Diamond will be joining me later. All right, Booker, so we're at the Shelby County Extension office here at the Agri Center, right? This is the turf plot. We want folks to know to check with your local extension office. They may have a turf plot too for you to come out and see the type of grasses that grow well in their area, right? So we want to talk about the different lawn options that we have here in the Mid-South. You know, we have a different zone than everybody else, right? So yeah, 7B, 8A. So again, we're going to talk about the grasses that grow best in our area. But before we do that, why do we plant certain grasses in our area anyway?
Right, in 2015, we decided to put in a turf plot.
Okay.
Because people are curious about growing grass in their landscape. And I hear we got three different types of grass. We got Bermuda grass, we got Georgia grass, and we got bluegrass in here. Now you want to pick a grass based on your house. You got a lot of shade or you got a lot of sun. Now fescue grass will grow in a lot of shade area. And we do have some Georgia grass that'll grow in a little shade.
Okay.
But Bermuda grass needs full sun to grow.
Full sun?
Full sun. You're not going to grow in a tree. You got a tree or something like that, it's probably going to die on you over a period of time.
Okay.
So yeah, we put in 10, and before we put any types of grass in here, we had our soil tested. Right. And most grasses out here need a soil between 6.0 and 6.5.
Okay. Always important to get that soil tested, right? So you can get the grasses off to a good start.
You get the grasses to a good start. Make sure they get a good start out there. You want to do that because if you start off with the bad and not testing the soil, it might start off for a while, but it's going to eventually die on you in there.
Okay.
We put in timber right out here. Do you want to take a look at them?
Hey, let's take a look.
This is latitude Bermuda grass here now. It's been here since 2015. You look at it, it's doing great in here. You don't see no whole lot of disease in here. This is one that grass that reduced a lot of spring dead spot. But this grass required good drainage. It was developed in Oklahoma State.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The color is dark green. Almost probably will come out of dormancy kind of first. The fall color is very good. Yeah, sometimes you see different types of grass in the fall, had a different light brown, dark brown. This has a really pretty color to it in there. The weather resistance is very good in this grass here that you have. Drought tolerance is very good. At the morning height about 2 to 2.5 inches tall. Very good grass. This is Tohoma 31.
Okay.
And we just put this out here in 2019. It's really good here. And that's the grass. And this is grass you want a grass in your landscape that you want to cut a lot. This grass can grow kind of fast here now.
Right.
It really, you got very good wear resistance on there. So you can walk on and play on and everything. Just kind of bounce back because it grows so fast here. The color is dark green. The fall color is very good. Wear tolerance is very good here. The shade is fair. Drought tolerance is very good on this grass here. The height between 2 to 2.5 inches tall. Now during this, sometimes you get real hot, you might want to raise just a little high because to protect those root system.
Okay.
But it's a good grass. You got to go out and try and look at it.
All right. All right, Booker. So yeah, what grass is growing in this plot?
This is Northbridge here now.
Okay.
This is another fast growing grass. It's a very dark green, a little darker than the other grass that we have out there. It's spring green, but very good on the spring green up on here. Need a little fertilizer on this grass here. Wear tolerance is very good also. So that's why a lot of times you see a lot of people use this on when they got like sports field. So he grow well. A lot of disease resistance on this grass here too. You want to try that, and a lot of homeowners look for less disease problem, and this be one that you want to try here in your landscape.
It's pretty thick too.
It's real thick.
All right, Booker, what grass do we have here?
This is bluegrass, HGT, the Healthy Growth Technology.
Okay.
You'll see it grow real good in the fall. Probably start out in September and start growing and looking real pretty out here.
Oh, that's nice.
And normally be the only thing growing. This is a good grass here. It grow well in the full sun. Heat tolerance is very good. Okay. And this grass here now is out here in the full, it need a lot of water. But you want to use a lot of water, you want to make sure you have good drainage now. It might get a little insect like beer bug on that might get on this grass here.
Okay. Have good disease resistance and all that kind of good
Well,
stuff?
some days you might get a little disease on there, like brown patch. You might get a little on there, but it's be okay. You can treat that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, so this plot actually has two different types of grasses in it,
Different
right?
type of grass. We're trying some different this grass in it. Really, it's celebration Bermuda grass in here.
Okay.
But we're trying to do a special thing on this grass right here. We're trying to find out, can you get two grass to grow in one? We're doing something for like the pro football field. We got bluegrass and mixed in with this here.
Okay.
We sowed bluegrass in here probably about 3 years ago, and it's doing real good. And that's why we're doing that, because in the fall of the year, you had the bluegrass coming through when the Bermuda grass go dormant.
Nice.
So you don't try to oversee with another kind of ryegrass or nothing like this here.
Okay.
And you look at the grass, it got a dark blue color. How we did on the old cedar once in with the bluegrass, but
Okay.
it's doing good here now.
And I would mention this, again, this plot, we're always experimenting, right? So
Yes,
that's
yes,
why
experiment.
we have plots like this.
We
at
just
the office.
experiment. There's a
Right.
experiment now, and you might not want to try it in your landscaping here,
Right.
but there's a experiment here
Right.
that we're doing here for the professionals.
Okay, good.
This is our F1 Georgia grass here, Chris. You look at it, this grass don't have a light green color to it. Not a dark green grass like a lot of grass, but it's a light green grass here.
Sure.
Now you own it now, you feel it. This is a thick grass, and it's very good on heat resistant.
Okay, which we need in this
We
area,
never
right?
in this area. That is very good on here and everything. And it go dormant kind of fast now. The heat tolerance is very good. The wear tolerance is very good also. It need a little water on there to do well.
There's usually a lot of questions about fertilizing Georgia grasses, so.
The one thing about fertilizing Zorga, you don't want to fertilize it too early. You don't want to fertilize them too early in the year. You want to start off fertilizing probably like in the 1st of June. You don't fertilize your Georgia grass. You don't, especially with a nitrogen fertilizer. And that's all your Georgia grass in. But this F1 Georgia here, this light green color in there, do real good into your landscape. This is a solo Georgia grass here now. And the grass now, this probably grass like you now. This grass don't grow fast.
Don't grow
No,
fast.
you don't want, you like that more in your yard, probably about once a week or a week and a half or so. This probably what you want into your landscape
that
here.
sound good.
The color's dark green. Fall color is very good. Wear resistant very good. Drought tolerance is very good. The morning height between 2.5 to 3 inches tall. You keep it water when it needed, it'll do good for you. And it'll do good for you. But it's solo Georgia grass here.
And
Real
it grows
good.
slow.
Grows slow. They really want them. I guess why the name, yeah, solo Georgia grass. But you would like this in your landscape too.
I think I can handle that. All right, Booker, so what grass plot is this?
This Geo Georgia grass
Okay.
here. Now the Geo, they have a very thin blade on there, and also kind of thick too now.
Oh, it is thick.
And that grass here, now, it's not the best now, but it will do good in just a little shade. Not a lot of shade, but just a little shade.
Okay.
The color is dark green, wear resistant, very good. Every now and then might get little chink books on there. Shade tolerance is fair. Drought tolerance is very good. But one thing about this Georgia grass is it will get a little thatch built up every now and then. You might aerate it sometime every now and then.
So we had to be concerned about the mowing height?
Yeah, mowing height, keep it right height, 2.5 to 3 inches tall in there.
Good.
Mhm.
All right.
This is our raw Georgia here now. You hear a lot of people they want a Georgia grass.
Yes.
But they have trees. And this grass here do good in probably about 4 hours of sun. It'll do good in a little shade and everything in there. But you need to make sure you keep water on it. But you want to keep it at least probably about 3 inches tall if you can in there to do
tall.
better protect those root systems. Also, the color is dark green. The morning height between 2.5 to 3 inches tall. Drought tolerance is very good. The wear resistance is very good on this grass right here. But this a really good grass in there. And another thing about this raw Georgia, you might just want to keep it, use a little more nitrogen fertilizer than a lot of your other grasses that you have, but it will do good for you, in there.
Okay.
And it perform well. But it would do good. You got a tree or something, you got shade, you might want to try this raw Georgia.
Okay.
This is our Palisade.
Okay.
This is a really good grass in
Oh,
there.
I like
If
Palisade.
someone want a Georgia grass in there, good in shade, at least 4 hours of sun a day, need that, and that'd be really good on that. The color is medium green, morning height between 2.5 to 3 inches tall. Cold tolerance is very good.
I like it.
Nobody go with a Georgia grass, that'd be what I put in my landscape.
All right, so again, good shade tolerance.
Good shade tolerant, everything, just like the roar, good shade tolerant.
Okay. Any diseases we need to be worried
Well, I
about?
haven't seen any disease on the here now, but it do get some disease, but it's been out here since 2015, and no disease been on this here. But
Okay.
it will probably get disease that if you don't take care of it right.
All right. Yeah, so we like Palisade, right?
I like Palisade myself.
All right. So all of this was started by sod. So when is the best time to sod here in the Mid-South?
Chris, you can sod grass anytime.
Okay.
Most as long as the soil is not frozen, you don't want to do it then.
All right.
But you don't sod grass, you need to get the site ready to sod.
Okay.
You maybe want to work it up some and get it ready to lay down sod on there. But once you sod it, you might want to add a little water to it and try to get it to catch on to that in there. If you do it in the hot summertime, You might want to water before you lay the sod down when the grass is not too hot on the root system. But
okay.
you can sod any time of the year you want to do that, as long as the soil's not frozen.
And we want folks to know that this is actually irrigated.
This is irrigated here now, yeah. Make sure we get an inch of water a week on here.
Okay.
And we get any water now, you let it soak down real good in there, we get an inch of water a week in there. But as long as no standing water.
Okay.
You don't see no water standing nowhere, so you want to make sure you got good irrigation.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. Booker. This all looks good. We know you love your grasses.
Man, thank you too,
right,
and everything.
So this is just for
Appreciate
you,
you,
right?
you doing this for us. Appreciate that.
All right.
Let the
you.
homeowners know they can come out here and look at it anytime they want to
Anytime.
and everything. They got a question about it, they can give us a call.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you much.
All right.
All right.
Now it's summer and you're getting a good chance to taste the tomatoes that you planted this spring. Whether you planted a hybrid or whether you planted an heirloom, be thinking about if we're going to do it again next year. And if you want to do it next year and you want to save seeds, now's the time to think about it. Whether it's an heirloom, your heirlooms will come back true, and your hybrids you'll get a cross of the parent plants. If you want to start saving now, you want to bag your blooms to make sure they come back true. You can use a little cheesecloth bag to keep any other pollinators or pollen from moving from plant to plant, to make sure that the seeds that you save are actually going to come back true.
All right, Joellen, let's talk a little bit about Abelia.
Abelia, yeah.
Yes.
It's, you know, it's always been one of my favorite shrubs because it has a bloom time that starts in about June, then goes clear till frost. So, you know, I've used it, but it's more of like your grandmother's plant, the Abelia grandiflora.
Okay.
Grand.
Grand.
It gets about 6 feet tall. And so that's why it kind of limits the use in the landscape. But luckily, there are new hybrids out there, which is why it's exciting to talk about Abelia. There is another one that I liked, which I did use in my landscape, is called Edward Goucher.
Okay.
And Edward Goucher, unfortunately, is deciduous, which is the drawback of it.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but you get these beautiful lavender pink blooms, you know, in the summer, all summer long.
Okay.
But they're not as prolific as the other grandifloras. Okay. So, you know, deciduous, bigger flowers, nicer flowers, smaller plant. You know, it was not a whole lot to choose from. Now we've got some good stuff. Okay. There has been one called Sherwood. Now the Sherwood Eye, he gets about 2.5 to 3 feet tall and rounded. They're compact, bloom all summer long, and have evergreen foliage. And from Sherwood came Little Richard. And Little Richard is even more compact than Sherwood, because Sherwood can get taller than the 3 feet that it's usually labeled as. John Creech is another one that has come out of the Sherwoods, and he's smaller. All of these have different kind of winter colors and a little bit bronzing on some of them. And of course, then there's one that's come out that is the lowest growing of all, and it's called Prostrata.
Wow.
And it gets 1.5 to 2 feet tall, and there's a lot of people who use that for, you know, banks and things like that. And it will do well under a window, you know, in front of somebody's house for the landscaping. Okay. Also blooms all summer long. So, you know, what evergreen foliage blooms all summer long. The problem is our zone that this is in is 6 to 9. So we're in 7. Okay. And a lot of these stay evergreen here. Further north of 6 and sometimes in 6, if they get a zone 5 winter, you know, it might kill the foliage back. Okay. So it might lose some of its foliage, but, you know, it'll come back. Okay. Okay. So that's really no problem. But now the most interesting things that have come out are the colored foliage abelias. And there's one that's called Golden Glow, which is, of course, sounds golden and yellow color, and yes, it is. And it has pink flowers. Can you imagine pink flowers on gold foliage all summer long? That sounds really nice. Confetti is another one.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
It's got cream-colored margins on its leaves, and then it blooms, and then in the wintertime, those white creamy margins turn kind of pinkish, so you get a little bit of a leaf change color in that one. And they're about 1.5 to 2 feet tall, so see, these are all staying small, even the dwarf ones. The colored ones. Kaleidoscope, now Kaleidoscope is a little bit bigger, but it has multicolored foliage, which is very pretty. And then
sounds cool.
it blooms then from June through frost.
Okay.
So you've got this nice creamy white to pink flowers on top of this variegated foliage. Very nice. And so a lot of people are talking about it because they're fairly hardy and looks nice in the landscape. What do Abelia, where do they like to live?
All right.
Where does Abelia like to live? It likes to live in a well-drained soil. Now you say, well, soils around here are not well-drained. Well, just got to be careful. Just try to create a situation. Don't plant it somewhere that you know the soil is going to stay wet all the time.
Okay.
Because it'll start getting leaf spots and things that it normally would not get. Because this Abelias are usually insect and disease-free.
Oh, that's even better.
I know.
Right.
There's not a whole lot that bothers them.
Right.
And of course, they can tolerate drought. In fact, around town, I have actually seen them in islands in the middle of the streets. And they're blooming their heads off.
Right, and we know nobody's taking care of those, right?
No.
For the most part.
No, so I mean, it's a really a good
That's good.
a landscape plant.
Okay.
Of course, the pH, it is adaptable. It's not real particular,
Okay.
which makes it even a better
Yes.
urban landscape plant. And it likes full sun to part shade. So now you got to think about this. When it's in full sun, it's going to have shorter internodes between the leaves, so it's going to be more compact, and there's going to be more blooms because there's more energy for the blooms. So the more shade you're going to give this, the more larger the leaves are going to get, the less blooms it might have. And some people I've known, just because the variegated foliage in some of these, they've put them in a pretty shady situation, but they don't really care because the foliage itself is so pretty that they
Right.
don't mind having less blooms.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. And of course, like I said, some of them are, there's one's listed Miss Lemon. It's a beautiful variegation on it, and it has really pretty flowers on top of it. In fact, it's known for its flowering, but it's deciduous in this area.
Ah, okay.
So, but that's okay, for the time of year when you're actually going to be outside a lot in the summer and in the spring, fall, and summer. You'll see it with the foliage and blooming.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
as far as taking care of them, right? Everybody's going to ask about pruning.
Yes.
So, old wood, new wood, what is it growing?
Well, Abelia grows, it blooms
Okay.
on current season's growth.
Let's see. Okay.
So it is suggested that you prune it first thing in the spring.
Okay.
Real early in the spring, and get it into the shape that you want. Normally, a lot of these you don't have to. They are naturally growing in a small mounding situation. But if you want to keep it under control and you want it even smaller
Which
than what
most
it
people would
normally
wanna do,
want to
right.
do,
Yeah.
just don't shear it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is small leafed, and you could do that with it, but it would be better just to kind of selectively prune it down as you need to. Some of these are the larger Abelia are multi-trunked, multi-stemmed.
Okay.
And what you do is you go in and you take the smallest, the oldest stems out every few years. And then, of course, keep it down as you need to. But 3 feet is still not terribly bad.
That's not
4
bad at
feet,
all, yeah.
3, 4 feet. I mean, that's not a bad size for a landscape plant.
Okay. And let me touch on this before you end, because I know Mr. D appreciate this. Deer resistant.
This is deer resistant. And since it blooms all the time, it attracts pollinators like butterflies
Oh,
and bees.
Okay, so that's plus, another plus.
You've got all of these qualities on these, and Abelia is just not well used in the landscape, and it should be used more.
We appreciate that, Joellen. Yeah, we need to start using that a little bit more. I see Mr. D's actually nodding his head in approval.
Yeah, I've had some experience with the older ones, and the only problem I had with it was it was at my front door, and I had to kind of keep it pruned back. It kept
Right.
growing out there, but as far as any problem or anything, insect or disease, nothing. So I'm real interested in these, especially the dwarf forms.
All right. Well, we appreciate that again, Joellen. Hopefully more people will plant those. All right.
Hope so.
All right.
In the Family Plot Square Foot Garden, we're growing some fall Irish potatoes. I planted them a couple weeks ago. They've come up and it's now time to hill them. It's important to hill potatoes because the tubers will grow inside the hill that you make around the potatoes. You want to hill them a couple times. Our potatoes here are probably about 4 inches tall. So all I'm going to do is just kind of cover them up, push the dirt around them. There, now the potatoes are hilled. They're going to grow back through the dirt I just put on, and in another week or so I'll have to hill them again. But once they're up, I don't know, about 10-inch, 12-inch hill, that's enough, and they can just continue to grow at that point.
All right, here's our Q&A segment. Y'all ready?
Ready?
All right, these are some great questions. Here's our first viewer email. What's the window for overseeding my lawn? September to mid-November? Does it need to come up before frost? How long does it need to be up before the first frost? Thank you. This is Terry from Charlotte, Tennessee. All right, Mr. Lee. So here's another question about overseeding.
Okay.
And I guess we're talking about
fescue. I guess it's
Yeah,
about fescue
yes,
lawn,
yeah,
because
fescue.
in September, because
Okay.
that's a fall grass.
Right.
Normally go in the fall of the year.
Right. So what do you think about that? So
Yeah. I like to start, depending on when you live, it's like September the 15th, a good time to start seeding that in there. And I like to at least try to have it done by at least about the last of October.
Okay.
In there, so that. And that's a good window for seeding fescue lawn. I guess you're talking about fescue because that's a cool season grass
what I would think.
in there. But if you talking about fescue grass, now what I be doing now, I be trying to get my soil ready
Right.
now in there and trying to get it, checking my soil pH and see what things I need to add to that and see what I have out there now.
Okay.
If I want to kill what's out there now with a new lawn, just overseeding now, but he might still need to come in contact with some good soil when he's doing overseeding.
Okay.
In there. And I try to water that in when I put it down.
Oh, really?
But it's like September 15th to October the 1st be a good time to do that.
and this is for your fescue.
For fescue lawn now.
Right. Right.
In there.
Right, because when you oversee like that, you give the grass enough time to develop a root system,
yeah.
let that root system get established, and then too, you don't have to worry about crabgrass.
Yeah.
Because your crabgrass, of course, would slow down during that time of the year, so there'll be no competition, no weed competition.
And the soil's still warm enough for the
Right.
seed to germinate.
Right. So yeah, all that helps. So just make sure it gets watered in.
Water in, yeah. And so that's good.
All right.
Good luck on that. And
So does the grass need to come up before the first frost? Make sure we answer that question for him.
yeah, it should be coming. It should be coming up
That's
then
what's
because it could come out. It could knock it back some and everything in there.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said we do it September 15th in there.
Got it.
But in October, so it should be coming up in there.
All right.
For the last killing flowers.
Okay. And there you have it, Terry, from grass expert right here.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Lee. So we appreciate that. All right, here's our next viewer email. What causes tomatoes to turn black on the bottom? This is Sandra from Piedmont, North Carolina. So, Ms. Sandra, we just happen to have Miss Elena here today, who's our tomato expert. So, Elena, what do you say about that?
Blossom end rot.
Blossom end rot.
They short term it BER.
Okay.
It is something that all tomato gardeners have dealt with at one time or another.
Sure.
The good news is they say it does tend to correct itself. The plants do adapt. That's the good news, but we want to get all the fruit, not lose a good part of it to the BER.
Sure.
The textbook answer is calcium deficiency. The calcium is in your soil. It's the plant's ability to get it out of the soil and into the fruit.
Right.
Without enough calcium sometime during the formation of the fruit, it got out of whack.
Okay.
And so then you get this rotted end on the blossom end. You've got to maintain the water, have consistent watering.
Right. That's key.
I mulch to try to tide me over to the next time.
That's good.
That keeps it more consistent for a longer term.
Like that?
I water every day. I know other people, the plants will adapt if you've been watering maybe twice a week. But that mulch gives you a little bit of a cushion.
That's good.
But just maintaining moisture will help primarily.
Okay.
Some people have had some good results or some success with side dressing, maybe oyster shells. I've heard of egg shells.
With your calcium?
Y'all
Okay.
probably heard some of those too.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I sure have.
Yeah.
Blossom end rot.
Yeah.
BER.
Yes, I wrote it
Acronym,
down.
right?
BER.
How about that?
Right.
I wrote it down right here.
Right.
BER.
Mulch.
Yeah, that's
Mulch
good.
is your friend.
So pretty much just a nutritional disorder. Is what that is. For the most part.
Yeah.
I think the plant will adapt, and then we try to water more.
Yeah.
And then, but that mulch will give you a good cushion.
Yeah, I think
It'll
that's
really
good.
help.
The mulch and consistent watering. All right, Sandra, there you have it from our tomato expert. Thank you much. All right, here's our next viewer email. Will neem oil hurt the vegetables in my garden? This is Lane from Talala, Oklahoma. So, Elena, what do you think about that question? Neem oil, you think it's okay for your vegetables?
Yes, you can treat them when it's, you got your temperatures below 90, otherwise it'll burn them. So early morning, late evening.
It'll work. Neem oil has contact activity, short residual, so it will dry. The pollinators will be just fine. But yeah, I would definitely read and follow the label, and it will tell you on the label not to spray if temperatures are above 90 degrees. Right. So neem oil is a good product.
That's great.
Right?
Yeah,
It has insecticidal properties and fungicidal properties, as well. So yeah, dual action, in the garden is the neem oil, which comes from the neem tree. Yeah, as a directant. So there you have it. Thank you, Ms. Lane. We appreciate that. All right. So Booker, Elena, we're out of time. This was fun. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. If you need any more information on turf, abelia, or anything else we talked about today, go to familyplotgarden.com. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.